Good morning, folks. The real Captain Kirk here, live from Weather Trends 360 studio here in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. It is Monday morning, the 8th of April. If you think it's warm across the country today, you are correct. This time last year, actually, we were talking about the second coldest 8th of April in 30-plus years and snowiest in 15 years across the country. So really cold, snowy start last year. Polar opposite this year. Most of the country much above average temperatures here today. This is the peak of the first major spring heat wave that we've had this year. First of a couple more. Maine is still on the cold spot, again, much below average up in Maine. As hard as it is to believe, we're going to be talking about this by the end of the week, which is a blizzard going through the Rocky Mountains, northern Rocky Mountains, into the plains. This is probably overdone in terms of model estimated snowfall going through the Nebraska, Dakotas, Minnesota area. But again, a foot of snow is certainly possible in a swath across the plains and upper Midwest. We'll be adding to the U.S. snowiest winter season if we count the October to date. Snowiest season in 5 years, 5% above average, 6.7% more than last year. So we'll be adding to that snowy total here. Looking at this week overall, we'd say it's the warmest, warmer than last year, 12th warmest in 30 years. Again, we're going to start off on the warm side and then a cooling trend as we go through the week here. But again, so today is kind of the peak of the heat here for spring. Very wet, to say the least. Again, unfortunately, all that moisture in the deep south. Again, that's 4, 5, 6+ inches of rain along the Mississippi River. Just too much rain, and now we're going to have more snowpack. So again, these Mississippi River is just many weeks of flooding downstream. Again, pretty much all the way down as it gets into the Mississippi, Louisiana areas in the weeks ahead. The only good news is less snow than last year, but again, still above average. And again, with that blizzard in the plains and the upper Midwest. If we jump ahead here to next week, warmer than last year. Again, cooling off in the east, so we're going to get a cool down in the eastern half of the country behind this blizzard. And then, again, we'll see a warming trend going into the Easter weekend. So the 15 through 21 April period will get very, very warm in the west and then move back into the central plains. Again, so take heart here in the Midwest. Again, the blizzard is hot to blizzard back to hot. So it'll be up and down typical spring weather here. We'd say next week is wetter than last year, 6th wettest in 30 years. Again, just can't break this wet pattern. Least snow in 2 years and 5th least in 30 years. So at least we won't be saying too much about the snow word here as we get into next week. Looking at the trends here nationally since March 1st, again, very, very cold start to March. Those bars are the trends versus average, so way below average. And that red line is actually the max temperatures across the country. So you can see here we're peaking here as we speak this weekend and here Monday, and then another warm day Tuesday, and then the nation as a whole is going to get a few day cool down here with below average temperatures nationally, and then we'll see an uptick in temperatures again as we head toward that Easter weekend. So Easter weekend's looking a lot better than let's say this next few days here in the Midwest and the East. If we look at the Easter week outlook here, right? You remember last year was third coldest in 30 years for the Easter period, just pretty epically cold. They've even had some snow. This year, we're going to say 6th warmest in 30 years. So that big, huge jump in temperatures, way above average here nationally. Again, Easter week last year, we had the most snow in 21 years. This year, the least in 16. So that's some good news. So again, got a cool down coming, some snow, but brighter days ahead here, folks that like spring weather. Kudos to Team WT360, Chrissy and Christine down at the Millersville University, one of our partners. Fantastic meteorology school. They had their annual Public Weather Awareness Day Saturday down there in the gymnasium and outside. So here, Chrissy's here talking to the folks. Passed out. All our superheroes are gone, and most of our stress balls are gone. So again, thanks to Chrissy and Christine for holding down the fort down there at Millersville. Another upcoming event here that we're sponsoring is Bethlehem Christian Schools having their annual auction fundraiser here on May 10th. And the awesome speaker is going to be David Akers. Again, if Eagles fans probably know who this guy is, obviously, but for the rest of the country, again, a pretty good kicker, to say the least. So he'll be the guest speaker. So if you want to support, again, we love these folks, Bethlehem Christian School. Want to support them? We greatly appreciate that. While the troops were holding down the fort down in Millersville, we took the family to the Crayola factory for the little one. She loves rainbow and colors, so taking her to the factory was just had an absolute fantastic time. Here she's looking at the crayons. I think she thinks she's looking at them. Easton's famous for canals, so we played with the canal boats there. She absolutely loves anything and everything in water, so this was a pretty big hit. And then when we came home, we brought out the little spring surge here, so we brought the swing out. Of course, she has to show off with one hand holding holding the swing and hanging on to her Crayola toys. So she refused to put the Crayola toys down while the swing. So with that, folks, we hope you have a great week, and we will be back here this time next week.